Hey, it's the Rage Monkeys here to tell you about a trip that we took to the Grand Canyon. This was part of a multi-day road trip that I called the Damn Grand Zion Tour. You can check out some of my other videos to see some of the other adventures that we had during this trip. After spending the night in Williams, Arizona, where we got to explore some of Route 66, we got up with the sun, headed north, and went into Grand Canyon National Park. We parked our car, headed over to Mather Point, where we got our first view of the Grand Canyon. It was just spectacular. From there, we hopped on one of the free shuttles from the national park and headed to the South Kaibab Trail. South Kaibab Trail actually goes all the way to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, but we weren't planning on heading that far. The weather in the Grand Canyon that day was pretty nice, although it was definitely a bit colder than we had anticipated. So you'll see us wearing our raincoats to use as like windbreakers, and we even had on our COVID masks at times just because there was so much sand and grit flying around. It kept it out of our face and out of our mouths. This trail was spectacular. It started off with some switchbacks down a steep area, and then the trail hugged the rock face inside the canyon. It was a bit intimidating because you could look down the side and have no idea how far down it would actually go. I just could not get over how the early morning sun played with the shadows along here. So most of the time we were in the shadows, making it a little bit more chilly, but then the rays of the sun hit all those spectacular colors in the Grand Canyon. And it was just a view that I could never have imagined getting to witness. Our destination on this hike was Yaki Point, which was about 1.8 miles from where we started. So we stopped here to take a break and to ooh and ah with the views that we saw. And then we headed back towards the trailhead, getting to see everything again, but it looked totally different because the sun had moved and all the shadows were different. It was just a pretty neat hike. By the time we made it back to the switchbacks, lots of people were starting to make their way down the trail. And we also got treated to a special gift. Here comes the mules, headed down to the bottom of the canyon taking supplies. When we reached the top of the canyon, we went over to visit some of the mules who had the day off. We got back on the shuttle and went over to Yaki Point. This was another great place to view the Grand Canyon. There really weren't too many railings here, which gave me a little bit of anxiety, but it also made for a limitless view of the horizon. We had our picnic lunch while we were here and used the restrooms. Then we hopped on that shuttle again and headed off to our next destination. Grand Canyon Village was the most commercialized area of the national park that we were in. From here, you got some more views of the canyon, and you could even see a group of mules with some visitors on them coming up the Bright Angel Trail. While in Grand Canyon Village, we stopped by some of the little shops that were there. We continued to have just a beautiful day, although it was a little windy. Then we headed over to the trailhead of the Bright Angel Trail. We were getting kind of tired and hungry at this point, so we only walked down a small portion of the trail. We had planned to have lunch in Grand Canyon Village, but it was so busy that day and the lines were so long, we ended up getting on the shuttle and going over to the Grand Canyon Market and Deli for lunch instead. After lunch, we started heading out of Grand Canyon National Park, going east towards Cameron, Arizona. There were so many little places that you could pull off here. We stopped at a couple, but our favorite, or my favorite, was BJ's Navajo Jewelry and Little Colorado Navajo Tribal Park. At the front of where you park, there is a jewelry stand there, which I ended up picking up some jewelry there. And then we headed off down a path, and it was just, I can't even describe it. It was just flat land, and then this giant gorge. It was really impressive and a really cool spot.
I tried to do a little narration while we were there, but it was really windy, so this is all you get.
We wrapped up our day and spent our night at the Cameron Trading Post. This is a Native American-owned facility that was really quite cool. They had a restaurant there, gift shop. There were some gardens that were not quite yet in bloom. And we had such a really cool room. It was huge. It slept all of us. There was a bedroom with two big beds, and then there was two fold-out couches and even a little kitchenette. I told the kids that it was big enough we could even play hide and seek in there. And so we did. The gardens were really pretty. Would it look great if they were in full bloom, but we were a little early for any of that to happen. And we even had a great view. It was a great place to rest up because we had a lot more adventures ahead of us the next day.